first to Washington and the changing of the guard in the House, what it means for South Florida. Nancy Pelosi announced that she will be stepping down as the House Speaker.
And with great confidence in our...
Well, there she was, we thought. So the remarkable reign of Nancy Pelosi is over, and there will be a new majority leader, this time from the Republican side. And it looks like it's going to be Kevin McCarthy of California. He's been vying for the Speaker's job for years. One South Florida congressman navigating through the leadership changes is Congressman Carlos Gimenez of Coral Gables, a Republican who was reelected by a whopping 21 points, a blowout victory. He represents the 26th Congressional District, Southwest Miami-Dade, all the way down to Key West. Joins us now via Zoom from his home. Congressman, great to see you. Good morning. There you go. Carlos, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So I think it was closer to 28%, but I'll forgive you.
But who's counting? All right. Well, anyway, it was a huge victory for you. So congratulations on the victory. Also, for the first time, as you're well aware, Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, won Miami-Dade County handily. He won a solid majority in every Hispanic voting precinct in Miami-Dade County. What does this tell you? Is Miami-Dade a purple county now, or is it turning red?
The last three elections have really had a swing to the right. My particular district in 16 was 16 points for Hillary Clinton. In 20, it was 4 or 5 points for Donald Trump, and then now we had a huge swing of 28 points to the right. So yeah, I think Miami-Dade is turning redder, but it's still purple.
Yeah. Your colleague Maria Elvira Salazar, also reelected, said on election night, this just proves the old adage that Hispanics are Republicans. They just don't know it. Well, in Miami-Dade County, I would say they know it, especially Cuban Americans.
Yeah, they do. And look, we have the Hispanic population here in South Florida a little bit different than some of the other areas of the country. And a lot of our Hispanics come here fleeing from oppression and communism and socialism. And so they tend to be more to the right. And, and we're the beneficiaries of that. But that being said, there is a trend across the nation of Hispanics shifting to the right, only based on the same issues of everybody else. It's the economy, it's prices. There's also this culture war that's beginning with education, et cetera. Then Hispanics, I think, are a little bit more aligned with us than they are to the Democrat Party.
Right. In a minute, I want to get to the way the House of Representatives is going to be led by your party and by probably Kevin McCarthy. First, I need to ask you, as you well know, Tuesday night, Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago said he is running again. Do you support Donald Trump?
Well, I think I'm going to take a line from our governor that says that we need to just chill out. There's a process that's going to happen. We're going to have some great candidates. I'm sure that a lot of people are lining up, and so let's let that go through for a while before we start jumping on one candidate or another.
Yeah. Well, it is early, and yet I know I get the email blast from the former president's campaign listing members of Congress who have endorsed him. Have they already asked you for an endorsement?
No, but remember, I was endorsed both by the president and by Governor DeSantis. And so, again, I think it's healthy for us to have a debate. It's 2 years away. I think we just need to chill out for a while and see how this all going to work out. And as you know, Michael, 1 week is an eternity in politics. So 2 years is really a long, long time in politics.
Yeah, from here to eternity. I'll get off the Trump questioning here in a minute, but I need to ask you a question that earlier this week I asked Mike Pence, and we'll play that interview later on. But given everything we know about the former president, about all the allegations, the impeachments, the documents, classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, January 6th, should Donald Trump be the president of the United States again?
Donald Trump will be the president of the United States if the American people decide that he should be the president of the United States again. And so a lot of the stuff that is attributed to Donald Trump, I mean, the Mar-a-Lago raid, I mean, I just saw Mike Pence said that should have never happened. There are a bunch of different ways that that could have transpired without having a raid on the president. And so, you know, many of the things that were attributed to Donald Trump about Russian collusion and really trying to cut him at the knees when he became the president turned out to be a bunch of baloney, false. 4 years it was put on TV stations just like you and MSNBC, CNN, all that. Washington Post, the New York Times, really running with a story for 4 years that really undermined the credibility and the legitimacy of Donald Trump's presidency. And so, you know, those questions need to be answered. And so, again, at the end of the day, the American people will decide if Donald Trump has the right to be president again or not, or if some other Republican, you know, should take his place and hopefully defeat President Biden, because President Biden needs to be defeated in 2 years.
Yeah. Well, do you even think President Biden will be the Democratic candidate in 2 years?
Well, I think the results of this last election certainly emboldened him. I don't think he should have taken much out of it. Look, the Republicans outvoted the Democrats by 4 million votes. It didn't really pan out in the gain of seats that we thought we were going to have, but by and large, 4 million more people in America thought that the Republican agenda was better than the Democrat agenda. Yeah. It just didn't pan out in the seats. But I think President Biden is taking the wrong message out of this. Is somehow everybody's really happy with the job he's doing in America. We're not. And I believe that if he continues on these policies, that America will suffer more. And yeah, I do believe that he's going to run in 2 years. Yeah.
Congressman, as you well know, the leadership in the House of Representatives changing first time and really in years, 20 years. Nancy Pelosi has been the House Speaker. She's stepping aside, letting Hakeem Jeffries, it appears, is going to step forward. And for the Republicans, for your party, the leader is probably going to be Representative Kevin McCarthy of California. Do you believe he will be?
Yes, I do. I think that, you know, in the end, we've had some healthy debate inside the conference, but the overwhelming majority of the conference supports Kevin McCarthy. And the great thing about, you know, choosing the speaker is that you stand up in the well and you speak out and you say a name. So everybody knows exactly how you voted. And so at the end of the day, yeah, I think Kevin McCarthy not only will be the speaker, but deserves to be the speaker. He has led the Republican Party, you know, to the majority. You know, 4 years ago, we were in 2018, you know, we got walloped pretty hard. And in 2 cycles, he's led us back. And I think that he deserves to be the majority. I've worked under him. I think he's led us, you know, the right way. Yeah, we may be sometimes a little bit difficult because we're a little bit more independent thinking. We're not dogs. We're kind of like cats. But at the end, I think he has the ability to herd those cats.
Yeah, it will be obviously a very thin majority instead of what was predicted to be 15, 20, 25 seat majority by the Republicans in the House. It's going to be what, 7 or 8 seats rather, and that makes his job and your role a lot tougher.
Yeah, it does. But again, you know, I think one of the things that we're going to do is, how did Nancy Pelosi do it? Because she had the same kind of small majority too. That's right. She was able to do it. And so we've got to take a page from her book and say, okay, exactly how did you do that? Yeah. And really, you know, push through her agenda with such a slim majority. You got to take your hat off to her. Yeah. I mean, I don't agree with her policies or her politics, but you know how she got her agenda through the House. You have to take your hat off to her. And you know, she was very effective. Yes. For the Democrat Party.
She was indeed.
So I think we need to learn from how she did some things and then move on from there.
All right. Well, I want to talk about your agenda and the agenda coming up here, you know, for the next couple of years, things like immigration, very important to you. So hold on here, Congressman. We'll be back with Congressman Carlos Gimenez in just a minute.
Okay.
Welcome back. On this Sunday morning, we are speaking with Congressman Carlos Gimenez. Very sorry, Congressman. Usually you get up early on Sundays, go out to the Biltmore, play a round of golf. I don't think you did that. this morning.
No, not today. Not today, Michael.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't play underwater golf.
We understand. All right, seriously, Congressman, an issue for you, for the country, is immigration. Other members of Congress, Senator Marco Rubio in 2013 tried hard to get an immigration reform bill. Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart a couple of years ago put it on the line trying to get it. Nobody's been able to do it. Will you and your colleagues this time be able to go back and try to fix this terrible situation that we've got with immigration?
Well, the problem, Michael, is that unless we get and secure our border, the conversation stops there. And so the first thing we have to do is secure our border. And right now, we don't have a secure border. And unfortunately, because of the policies of the Biden administration, I don't believe we're going to have a secure border until if and when we get a secure border. Then we can start talking about comprehensive immigration reform, which I think this country absolutely needs. But the Biden administration has to be serious about securing our border, and they're not serious about securing our border. Yeah, we can work on legislation, but again, it won't be partisan. I mean, it won't be bipartisan in nature until we get the border secured. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say it. We have to get that border secured, and then we can move on to see how we can fix the immigration problem here in the United States.
Yeah, well, does Secretary Alexander Mayorkas need to go? Is he part of the problem here?
I think the big problem is the Biden administration. It is President Biden and his policies. I don't believe that Secretary Mayorkas is just doing whatever Secretary Mayorkas wants to do. I mean, and if President Biden weren't happy with what's happening at the border and what Secretary Mayorkas was doing, I think Secretary Mayorkas would be gone by now, but he's not. So he's actually, following through on what the Biden administration what President Biden wants to happen. And so, yeah, are they securing our border? No. Are they putting Americans at risk? Yes. Do we have, tons and tons of fentanyl that's killing thousands of Americans, every single month, hundreds every single day flowing through the southern border? Yes. What are they doing about it? Nothing, or very little.
Well, they would say they are doing the best they can, but the best they can is not obviously good enough.
No, Michael, they're not doing the best they can. They're doing it on purpose, all right? And so nobody's going to ever tell me they're not doing it on purpose, because you can't be this dumb. I mean, we had policies in place that really had stemmed, and really slowed down the flow of illegal immigration into the United States. The first day that he got into office, he overturned all of those policies, and now you're seeing the results. Hey, just go back to those policies that were working. Why don't you do that? No, because they want this to happen. They want to have millions of people coming through the southern border. I think they're placating their far left agenda of open borders here in the United States. And I'm telling you, it is putting us in danger. But we don't even know who's going through. By the way, there's over 1 billion people we didn't even apprehend. We never know who they are. We had close to 80 people on the terrorist watch list that actually wanted to come through and be apprehended. Can you imagine how many more did not want to be apprehended and got through? So look, no, you can't tell me that it's not done on purpose. It's on purpose. They know exactly what they have to do.
All right. Well, if we had a Democratic representative, say Debbie Wasserman Schultz, your colleague and friend and Democrat, she would say you're wrong. So, but we acknowledge and respect your point of view. And Congressman, it's always good to have you.
I would say she's wrong. Okay, so fine. Okay. That's what America's about. That's the beauty of America.
Well, it is indeed. And good luck being in the majority now in the House.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Michael.
Carlos. Appreciate it.